Good morning. My name is John Jones. I'm chairman of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to the notice provisions of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act, with all participating authority members attending in person. While this meeting is open in public, there will be no public comments, as is OTA's longstanding historical practice. In addition to being open to the public for in-person observation, the meeting is being live-streamed and recorded for remote viewing. The time is 10 a.m., and I'm calling the February 6, 2024 regular meeting of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority to order. I would ask and remind everybody to please silence your cell phones. Thank you. Jenny, Charity, whoever's calling the roll, please do.
We could do it together. Good morning. Mr. Wilberry.
Here.
Mr. Todd Cohn.
Here.
Mr. Gene Love.
Here.
Mr. John Titsworth.
Here.
Ms. Dana Weber.
Here.
Mr. John Jones.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first item is approval of the minutes for the last meeting of January 9th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote accordingly electronically. Voting is ended and the minutes have been approved. Next item of business comes from the Finance Committee. Todd Cohn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Anish. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Submitted for consideration and approval of the authority is a request to authorize a 9-month extension to the existing tag fulfillment contract with Oklahoma Direct and to increase the not-to-exceed amount previously approved. This contract was authorized pursuant to board approval of Agenda Item 487 on August 28, 2018, at an amount to not exceed $675,000. Board approval of Agenda Item 1097 on August 1, 2023, revised the contract not to exceed amount to $860,000 through March 9, 2024. And this was due to a higher than anticipated conversion of PlatePay customers to Pike Pass customers. I want to iterate that this was a very good problem to have at the time, that higher than expected conversion rate, and it is still a very good problem to have. The Oklahoma Direct will process approximately 530,744 transponders during the extended term to end on December 31st, 2024. The reason that we've chosen this specific time frame of December is because we plan to pursue services from vendors and do an RFP and bidding process and package that together with this time frame in mind. The total anticipated financial impact of this extension is an estimated cost of $255,000, making an extended contract to not exceed the amount of $1.115 million. Staff has reviewed this item and recommends for approval.
Are there any questions? This is a fantastic problem to have.
Yes, it is.
So, Mr. Chairman, based upon the staff's recommendation, I would move for approval of item 1163 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1163. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote accordingly. Voting is in and item 1163 is passed.
Thank you very much. Ms. Patterson. Good morning.
Good morning. Item number 1164 is the payment register prepared by the Comptroller Division. This payment register includes all payments made for the month of December 2023. The staff has reviewed this item and recommends this item for approval.
Are there any questions? If none, Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of item 1164 as presented.
We have a motion for approval of item 1164. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote accordingly. The voting is ended and item 1164 has been approved. The next items of business come from the Engineering and Construction Division. Mr. Wilberry.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. First couple of items will be as presented by Mrs. Nelson.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the board, Secretary Gatz. Today I'm presenting item 1165 on behalf of Construction Division. Submitted are 3 above items for your consideration of approval. The first item we have is CMC 29/CKTMC 23. This is the AET conversion on the Cimarron Turnpike at locations US 64, US 177, State Highway 99, and the Cimarron Turnpike, as well as the 11th Street ramp on the Creek Turnpike. The contractor is Manhattan Road and Bridge. This is for supplemental agreement number 7 for the agreed amount of $62,091.40. This supplemental agreement adds 2 new items to the contract. At the US 177 interchange, an electrical service pole for OG&E was necessary in order to provide power for the roadway lights. The planned roadway luminaires could not be used at the OG&E power locations due to the updated lighting standards. 480-volt luminaire fixtures had to be utilized at US 177 and State Highway 99 locations due to this newer standard. Questions? Next, we have GCT 2500. This is the Gilcrease Expressway. The contractor is Gilcrease Developers. This is for supplemental agreement number 30 for the agreed amount of $48,758.79. This supplemental agreement adds 2 new items to the contract to compensate the contractor for additional work. And an item for slope drain modifications at MSC Wall 2 is necessary to control surface drainage and prevent future erosion. Also, an item for drainage improvements at the 31st Street Trail crossing is necessary to extend existing ditches and riprap to prevent washout of these existing slopes. These items contain all materials, labor, and equipment necessary to perform this work. The last item we have is HEB MC 67B. This is the AET conversion and State Highway 5 bridge rehabilitation. Contractor is Dewitt Construction. This is for supplemental agreement number 3 for the agreed amount of $41,420.02. This also has a time extension of 76 days. This supplemental agreement adds 2 new items to the contract to compensate the contractor for additional work. It also credits back 76 days to the contract time and milestone time due to the delays of critical path throughout the project. A beam revision item for modification to the beam ends is necessary due to the existing span lengths measuring shorter than the planned lengths, requiring field revisions to the beams for proper fit. A traffic control mobilization item is needed due to the change of the planned phasing, requiring additional traffic shifts. This phasing change allowed for the demolition of the existing bridge and construction of the new bridge without any closure of the H.E. Bailey Turnpike as originally planned. 6 days are being added due to additional required concrete panel replacement at the tie-in locations to create a smooth transition. 35 days are being added for the beam end modifications on all of the end spans, which include the required engineering and review time as well as the field modifications. 6 days are being added to compensate for the additional time required to demolish the existing bridge in phases to allow for the H.E. Bailey Turnpike to remain open during this planned work. 29 days are being added due to the dropped existing median pavement, which required the removal and replacement of existing panels and additional cable barrier work beyond the original plans. These items all demonstrated a delay to the critical path of the project and amount of 76 days. These items contain all material, labor, and equipment to perform this work. Questions?
No. Do we have any other further questions? If not, I move that we approve item 1165 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1165. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote accordingly. The voting is ended, and item 1165 has been approved.
Ms. Nelson.
Item 1166 is the contract modification for the construction management of the Kickapoo Turnpike. Submitted for the authority's consideration is the request of the following items be approved. This is for EOC 2400 CM. This is the modification number 5 construction management services for the Kickapoo Turnpike. The consultant is Benchmark with a not to exceed amount of $30,000. This modification is for the additional funds for the construction services agreement. The amount due under the contract modification number 5 shall not exceed $30,000. This revises the contract amount from $9,061,360 to $9,069,360 $9,091,360. Staff has reviewed the item, and we recommend approval.
Are there any questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We have a motion for approval of item 1166. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote accordingly. Voting is ended, and item 1166 has been approved.
Ms. Nelson.
Item 1167 is for the Access Construction Management Services on the Turner Turnpike. Submitted for the authority's consideration is the request of the following items be approved. This is for the Access Construction Management Services of the interchange of pavement widening near Bristow on the Turner Turnpike for the above project. The consultant is EST LLC for the not-to-exceed amount of $6,026,523.64. Staff has reviewed this item, and we recommend approval. This project is a little over 6% of the overall construction cost, with the overall construction cost being around $98.5 million.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Nelson?
I had a question. I don't know if it's for you or maybe for Joe, but is this the first substantial item we voted on since we raised our last series of bonds?
Yes, so we 2 months ago, we awarded this contract. That would have been the construction contract. This item is for construction management
Right.
to be done by EST for the on-site inspection.
Good. Okay, I just make a comment. I think we're all looking forward to this progressing, getting started. Very good.
Any other questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We have a motion for approval of item 1167. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Please vote accordingly. Sorry?
All the items, all the voting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. All the voting is completed, and item 1167 has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Next items, or a couple of items, are item 1168 that will be presented by Mr. Darian Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Appreciate that. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good to see everyone this morning. Engineering Division has two items we'd like to present for consideration this morning. That's items 1168 and items 1169. Item 1168, this is a construction contract award. This is for CMC 34 project. This is bridge rehabilitation of 48.58 at milepost 48.58 in Pawnee County. Project includes partial deck replacement, hydro demolition, and bridge deck overlay, approach slabs, bearing replacement, substructure repairs, shoulder, and guardrail. As you can see there, we just had one bidder. That's Haskell Lemon, the amount of $2,998,356.50. This is a little over $386,000 over the engineer's estimate, which equates to about 14.8% over that estimate. We believe a few factors probably came into play on that. This is over a railroad. Could have been why it's a little bit higher. We do have some game time restrictions in there for OSU as well. There was one pay item out of 71 pay items that contributed to quite a bit of that overage, and that was false work and jacking. That was about $225,000 of that overage. So, hydro demolition, instead of replacing the entire deck, if the deck is for the most part in pretty good condition, you can come in and use literally hydro demolition, which is high pressure water to blast off. You set your controls where it might take off an inch of the concrete or 2 inches. So we'll come in there and take a couple inches off and then go back with a latex modified concrete. This is kind of a little bit of specialty work, so that could be another reason for just one bidder on the project, but staff's reviewed this. We recommend approving it.
Are there any other questions?
Have you considered putting it out for rebid?
We have not. Again, it could be a little bit that we had some low numbers on our engineer's estimate, and really, You know, again, when you look at one bidder on a project that is over the engineer's estimate, you have to ask your question, you know, do you need to reject and rebid? And in this case, I don't think that would do us any good to rebid. In fact, the prices, I mean, could potentially go up. So we would prefer to move forward with it.
Or it could go down.
Could go down, or we potentially could not have any bidders. It is hard. It is a risk. Any other questions?
Are there any other questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We have a motion for approval of item 1168. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Please vote accordingly. The vote has ended and has been approved by a vote of 5-1.
Next item is item 1169. Mr. Butler?
Yes, item 1169, this is on-demand design contract modifications for the Access Program. Submitted for consideration of the authority's request that the following item be approved or disapproved. This is for contract number CPY-03, the consultant CPNY, AKSTV. The amounts not to exceed is $6,552,815. This original contract modification is to provide compensation for additional engineering services for the respective Access Program projects. This change will increase the consultant's not-to-exceed contract amount to include all contract milestones on select projects. Project milestones include planned stages of 30% completion, 60% completion, 90% completion, 100% plans, specifications, and estimates, bidding phase, construction services, and project completion documentation, including as-built plans. As you can see there, there's 4 projects associated with this contract. We originally negotiated these to about 60% when we actually made these selections back in February of '22. And since then, we've taken the liberty to split these into construction packages, allow us a little more flexibility and to make the projects a little more biddable. With that, I'd kind of like to walk through just briefly the 4 projects that are associated with this contract. The first one there is JKT 30,001. This will be widening on the John Kilpatrick from milepost 110.4 to 114.7. You can see there we split that into 2 widening construction packages. T26,005, this is widening of the Turner from milepost 157.9 to 162.7. And this has been split into 2 widening projects and 1 turnpike under bridge project. T26,006, this is Turner widening from milepost 162.7 to 167.8. This project's been split into 2 widening projects and 1 interchange project at State Highway 18 near Chandler. The last one there is T26,011. This is Turner widening from 191.1 to milepost 197.4. This project's been split into a widening project, 2 turnpike under bridge projects, 1 interchange widening project near Bristow, and 1 frontage road project. The amount due under this contract modification number 3 shall not exceed $6,552,815 for these services. The revised not-to-exceed contract total amounts $20,159,215. And if I may just make a few more remarks, this is one of 12 of our prime design consultants for the Access Program under this on-demand contract. As you know, we've been on pause for quite some time now. After the board meeting today, we are planning to restart some of those projects. Our chief engineer, you probably saw on the agenda, Chief Engineer TJ Deal will be walking us through some Access Program updates, and is also going to talk, I think, a little bit about projects that we're going to be restarting as we get into that phase. For this particular agenda item, the last 2 projects there, the T26006 and the T26011 are two of the projects that we are planning to restart. Apologize for the lengthy presentation, but staff's reviewed this. We recommend approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Let me ask you a quick question. This might be kind of just out of pure dumbness, but why the gap between the milepost 167 and the 191? What's the, because if you look at 26005, you're going from 157 to 162. 06 goes from 26.7. Why did you skip the 25 miles or whatever?
Yeah, and again, there's 11 design segments on the Turner. So this is just a few
So does
of
this
the-
engineering firm only have those three?
That's correct.
Okay.
CPNY, this contract only has these 4 projects. And whenever we first initiated the on-demand contract,
Yeah.
we made assignments to any of those 12 design firms on certain projects. So they all have a different level of projects. For this particular one, there's 4 projects in this extent.
All right.
Is the revised contract amount of the 20 million, is that just to the CPNY?
That's correct, yes. Yeah, and, again, we are starting to renegotiate these contracts as we begin to open things back up. So I anticipate next month and coming months, I'll be coming back to you with other consultants for supplemental funding.
Has the delay increased the cost? of
Absolutely,
engineering?
absolutely.
Well, I always love seeing the two words Turner and widening together.
That's right, that's right. Yeah, we're extremely excited to get things restarted and make these projects happen.
Are there any other questions? If not, I move that we approve item 1169 as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We have a motion for approval of item 1169. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and item 1169 has been approved. 6 yes votes, 0 no votes.
Last item is item 1170, which will be presented by Mr. Gore.
Good morning today. Today I present item 1170 for an on-demand right-of-way service contract submitted for the consideration of the authority. Request to author the following item to be approved or disapproved for on-demand consultant service modification number 3 for right-of-way services with Coates Field Services not to exceed $420,000. This modification is for additional funds and extend the existing contract. The on-demand consultant service agreement is renewed annually for a 1-year period, originally commenced on June 1st, 2021. The amount due under this contract mod number 3 shall not exceed the total $420,000 with a termination date of May 31st, 2025. The revised contract amount is a $1,040,000. And right-of-way staff has reviewed the above items, recommend approval. This on-demand contract is what we use for our surplus evaluation review, all the auctions, things like that, GIS stuff. That's what this contract is for.
Any questions? Any other questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We have a motion for approval of item 1170. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and item 1170 has been approved. 6 yes votes, 0 no votes. Thank you, Mr. Berry. Next items on our agenda are the reports section. The first report is our Highway Patrol report. Major Kennedy.
Morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Chairman, members of the authority, Secretary Gatz, Director E. Kelly. For the month of December, troopers made 4,404 violator contacts and assisted 541 motorists. We investigated 92 motor vehicle collisions and worked 955 shifts. We averaged 182 miles per shift for just over 173,000 miles. We did have 4 fatalities. The first 4 fatalities out of 2 crashes. One was the triple fatality on H.E. Bailey, and the other was, I don't have a location here, so I can't tell you where. The other was the vehicle parked on the side of the road and was struck. The triple was, they had a fire down on H.E. Bailey and had some vehicles drive into it, caused a chain reaction, and it was a very bad crash. We did have 3 criminal interdictions for the month. I've also included specific information about enforcement and collision reduction plans in your report. So I do have one more piece of information. So in the spirit of rotation, our commissioner likes to rotate the command staff around and give us a variety of assignments. So this will be my last month as a Turnpike liaison. I brought a guest with me today, Major Garrett Val. He will be taking over, actually effective February 1st, and he will serve you well, I'm sure. I'd just like to say that I've enjoyed working with the authority and with OTA. It's been a very good experience, and I enjoyed the relationship that we maintained, and wish you luck in the future. So I'll always be a resource. If you need anything, feel free to reach out, and I'll stand for any questions.
Does anybody have any comment?
Thank you for your service.
Just a comment, Major Kennedy. It's been a real pleasure for us too, and you've been a real asset to the authority, as has all of your troopers, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I think we all echo that sentiment that Mr. Love just said. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We look forward to working with your qualified replacement, I'm sure. Next report is consulting engineer report. Mr. Jimmy Sparks.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, member of the authority, Secretary Gatz. Concerning the trust requirements, I want to circle back to an item that was approved last month with the bridge insurance premiums and provide a little more information on a process we're going through. So I want to discuss what the trust requirements say and the due diligence we're going through. We are currently insuring a $1.5 billion asset in all of our bridges. So Section 707 of the trust agreement states the authority covenants that it will maintain a practical insurance program with such reasonable terms, conditions, provisions, and costs, and that the authority in its discretion upon consultation with the consulting engineers determines will afford adequate insurance protection. The authority shall provide builder's risk insurance for the period of construction for each turnpike project improvement. Pardon me. Insurance against loss caused by damage to or destruction of all or any part of the Oklahoma Turnpike system. Use and occupancy insurance covering loss of tolls and other revenues, and comprehensive public liability insurance for bodily injury and property damage. The trust agreement does allow for self-insurance, for the ability to self-insure for the items mentioned above that I just mentioned. It says, given that the levels are recommended in writing by an independent insurance consultant with favorable reputation and skill and experience in such work. So we are, the consulting engineer, we're working with Julie Porter's staff and to explore several options to look as we move ahead, because almost $1.8 million premium is a lot, when you consider the cost of several bridges. So we're getting outside quotes. We're also looking at that insured value, that $1.5 billion, and the level of risk that would be acceptable to the authority to bring that down. So I just wanted to inform you on that process there. So we'll be wrapping that up over the next month or so. And Secretary Gatz may discuss this in his report, but several years ago, ODOT worked with a professor from the University of Oklahoma to establish the ShakeCast system, which was used to analyze earthquake events. So, and it's every once in a while we get one of those big events like Friday night of 5.1, and you get the email and the text and you realize the system's still working. It took about 20 minutes. So, and it came out, the system analyzes bridges, and within, like I say, that 20 minutes of the event, we had an email saying that it had analyzed 801 turnpike bridges, and they were all below the expected threshold for an event of that. So no follow-up inspections were required. I think TJ said that ODOT had 3 that showed up needing additional inspections on there. So it's a good system that's in place just for these type events. In January, our engineers checked 15 special overloads for travel in the turnpike system. Always happy to say no special inspections in our monthly report, and our summary is included as always, and be happy to answer any questions.
I understand the 3 bridges, TJ, that were inspected did not need any repairs or anything, is that correct?
Don't believe so. I'll defer that back to the secretary, but I'm
Yeah.
aware.
On the ODOT side?
Right.
Yes, that's exactly right. The shake cast system did identify 3 bridges. They were all in District 3 of ODOT. And based on their inspection, they found no damage.
Yeah.
We have had damage on bridges before with some of the higher magnitude earthquakes, but none was noted.
My only comment is I think we look forward to finding out what we can do on the insurance premium side, because I think we were all surprised last month with that. But
I will say, looking back, and as far as recently as 5 years ago, that was a $500,000 premium, so it
Yeah.
has increased a lot. So.
changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jimmy,
Yes, sir.
could you, in your looking at this, could you think of putting back, raising the self-insured amount and possibly putting that in a secured account, cash?
And
Then next year, we've got $500,000 there, so, and over a period of time, you could build up cash amount to self-insure everything.
And that would require a set-aside that we would have to have certified by a consultant. So it would
Yeah.
require a set-aside by the authority
But
annually
if,
for
I mean, if
that.
we could look at doing that and.
That is one of the
Yeah.
things we'll be analyzing.
Yeah,
Yes.
that way you keep the money there this year and then add to it next year, so you build up enough that it would be easy to self-insure.
Okay. Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next report is the trustee report. Ms. Singleton. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and board members. As bond trustee to the authority, all monthly debt service transfers were made for the semiannual payments due to the bondholders as required by the trust agreement. The annual bond valuation has been provided to the authority as of 12/31 and also a requirement of the trust agreement. To our knowledge, all other requirements set forth in the trust agreement has been satisfied. Questions of my report?
We always like to hear that report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next report is the operating results and financial condition. Wendy Smith. Good morning.
Good morning. Chairman Jones, Secretary Gatz, members of the authority, you've all received your operations report for December, prepared by the Comptroller Division. OTA continues to be in strong financial position and in compliance with this trust indenture, as was just told to you by the trustee. And as she reported earlier this year, and today, January 2nd, the authority, just like every other year in its 70-plus year existence, made its required debt service payment of principal and interest of just over $137 million on time. And it's also significant to point out that over $69 million of that was principal. So each month, the trustee does report on that 507 transfer, and earlier this year, I did a fairly in-depth explanation of what that 507 transfer actually is. I thought it might be good to recap that discussion since we've gone through the entire year and we know where we ended up through December 31st of 2023. So as I mentioned last June, Section 507 of the authority's trust indenture establishes the flow of funds with which the authority must comply. And the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority must deposit revenues from its operations and into the revenue fund on a daily basis. All monies in the revenue fund at the end of the month in excess of allowable budgeted operating expenses are transferred and deposited as follows. So the first transfer is the authority's first priority, and that's to pay the debt. So we transfer funds to the bond service accounts for the purposes of paying bond principal and interest, transferring 1/6 of the interest requirement and 1/12 of the principal requirement in order to make not only the annual debt payment, but the interest payment on July 1 of each year. And as you can see in the operations report, all the deposits were made, bringing the debt service reserve or the debt service fund to the amount necessary to make that debt payment, in this case, $137,376,413. So that shows in Exhibit 1 of the operations report. The authority also has a debt service reserve fund equal to 1 year's principal and interest, and in the event that there's a deficiency, that is the next place that we have to replenish, but currently we are continuing to be slightly overfunded. So then we make a transfer to the Reserve Maintenance Fund, an amount set by the authority's consulting engineer for the purpose of paying certain maintenance expenses to keep the turnpike in good condition and repair. And as again, that can be seen in Exhibit 1, we made all of those required deposits to bring that balance to $41,088,000. And finally, after all of these required transfers are made, that excess balance is deposited to the general fund, which can be used for any lawful purpose of the authority. And again, just like every other year, the authority made all required deposits for each month in 2023 as reported by the authority's trustee in its monthly report. And as shown in the authority's December operations report, for the 12 months ending December 31st of 2023, after making all required transfers, the authority transferred those excess funds to the general fund. This amount was higher than anticipated due to toll revenues outpacing projections, a good problem to have, of 4.2% over what was projected. Concession revenues outperforming projections by 2%, much higher than historical interest rates, leading to more investment income. The other side of paying higher, obviously, on your debt is also earning more on your investments. A milder winter when compared to the last couple of years, and the continued prudent management of operating expenses by OTA management staff, keeping its spending to 13.6% below budgeted projections. These excess funds in the general fund allow the authority to continue to reinvest in its system and to continue to keep the road safe and in good condition. And I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions? Comments? Thank you.
I keep saying that every month, so eventually you guys will be able to say it to me. Thanks.
Appreciate your report. Next report is Chief Engineer Report, Mr. T.J. Dill.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I appreciate your consideration and approval of Darren's earlier item involving our consultant for the access program on the design side. I'm excited to report that we are planning to get all of our consultants back working this week. So it's been a long 2 years and since our last pause in April. Obviously, we've been to the market once and closed on funds in October. And what we have been doing on our side with our staff since then is really looking at all of these design segments and breaking them down, like Darren said, into tangible construction projects. So things that I can actually get in my hands, pass off to Jeff and LaDan, and then have you drive through them on the Turner is my ultimate goal. So this morning, just wanted to kind of go over a few of the projects that we are going to be restarting. The list is really no different from what we had originally back from last year, from January to April. There are a couple of additions. One of them is why you had to vote and approve upon the CP&Y extension today. So if you just bear with me here, I'm going to scroll through this a little bit. This is a map that you are all familiar with at this point. This map has been updated this morning on the Access website. And Mr. Berry, to your question beforehand, with the gap in the mileage on those contracts. On this map, as you can click through each one of these segments, it will show you who the consultant is over here on the side, the latest dollar figure we have for that section, and then what status it's technically in. A little bit different on the map going forward here. Everything you see in blue is the entirety of the program. That has not changed. Everything is still there that we had originally shown 2 years ago. Everything you see in yellow is going to be what we have now identified as our active Phase 1 priority projects. These are the ones that we are restarting our design efforts on. And then you'll see a couple that are in orange that are either current construction efforts or future construction efforts that will start here in the next couple months. So if you bear with me, I'll just kind of scroll through a little bit of this, do my best not to make you sick as I do this. I'm going to start up here in the northeast corner. I'm going to try not to zoom in too far. Don't want to break my internet connection here. So this is going to be the interchange up by Adair on the Will Rogers. Currently, that is a partial interchange, so we're coming back with full directional at this location. Moving down the Will Rogers here, these are going to be the river bridges over the Verdigris River. And then a couple bridges here that everybody in Tulsa is well aware of. These are going to be the Hakey Creek bridges, the roller coaster bridges, as I've heard them referred to quite often. So looking forward to getting that one moving as well. I'm going to jump down here to the Indian Nation. There are 4 new interchange projects on the nation. 2 of them we will be restarting efforts on right now. One of them's up here on the north side. This is Reagan Road. We call the Indianola exit. So it's another partial interchange like what we see at Adair. We're going to come in and make that fully directional. And then down here south, we will be installing a new fully directional interchange at Blanco. Come back up here to the Turner. So this first project here that you're going to see in orange, this is about to look a whole lot like June, September of 2018 again on the Turner. LaDan is going to be running this project for us on our side, and they're planning to start work here next week. So that work initially is going to be outside the lane, so you're going to see a lot of dirt being moved off on the right-of-way lines, a lot of clearing and grubbing going on for the next few weeks. Probably won't see any impacts to traffic until sometime in April, maybe early May, and we'll keep you informed as that time comes. But very excited about that project, getting it started. And coming down here to Bristow, so this project was originally on our first phase of priority list as well from last year, but it has definitely been elevated a little bit. Definitely not shy to tell you that the local folks here in Bristow, the local mayor, the city council members, the county commissioners, our ODOT partners, everybody has been extremely involved and excited about getting this project off the ground. And because of that, it has become one of our top priorities to give it to them. So I'm excited to get that again to a tangible construction project and deliver their constituents and ours a very good project. Coming down here, this is right at Stroud. This is going to be where the Service Plaza currently sits. This will be reminiscent of what we did at Chandler, where we're going to realign the Turner to the south side of the plaza. So now at Chandler, where it's only accessible from eastbound, this plaza will be only accessible from westbound, and this will have bond funding attached to it. This project is in two parts. The current one is building a service road back here to the north side, as well as a new bridge and some associated road work there. We'll also be using bond funds for that project. If you have any questions as I'm scrolling through here, please don't hesitate to stop me. This next one, I'll be honest with you, I kind of hesitate to talk about it a little bit, so I'm going to say it briefly. The bridge at Chandler, we all know is an issue. We do have a plan to raise the bridge, and I have been hesitant to implement that because I do not want to spend money on something that I know I'm going to tear out soon. So instead, I'm putting more effort into the design segment here at Chandler for this new interchange and the associated widening. So our goal is to get this one to a construction set of plans as soon as possible, get the project built, and get that bridge out of the air. So hopefully this time next year, we'll be talking about a letting date for that project. Keeping working my way west here. So this is going to be a new interchange, a redesigned interchange at Wellston and the Turner Turnpike. This project's been in the works for a while there along Route 66. It'll also be a project that we will fund through the Access Program, and it's currently showing a start date around April or May, but as that gets closer to time, I'll make sure to inform you on that as well. This yellow section here is going to be a new interchange at State Highway 102. And coming here, this is going to be the Kickapoo Turnpike, and I'm sorry if I'm not scrolling in too much here. Section from the Kickapoo Turnpike back west I-35, we're going to turn that entire design section back on with as much work as we're going to have on the east end, as well as now at Wellston and at Stroud. I need to also focus our attention on the west side, and that is simply so I can keep some good gaps in the construction zone so you're not consistently in construction for 90 miles. So we're going to get those turned back on, and that also includes a new interchange here at Post Road. And continuing to move west, this is going to be a section of the John Kilpatrick from Eastern back to I-35. That's a 6-lane section. That section is just about complete. It'll be one that I'll monitor closely. If I can let it this year, I will. It all kind of depends on re-entering the bond market, as I'll talk about here in a little while. But that, I would say by the summer, I'll have a good set of plans ready to go out the door. Still here on the John Kilpatrick, this is going to be a new interchange at County Line Road and some associated widening with it as well towards Council. And then moving down south here to the east-west connector. As we've said all along, it has been one of our major goals to connect I-44 to I-35, so this has still been a top priority. That has not changed. These two interchanges are going to be massive, and they take a lot of effort and work on our end, and a lot of partnership between ODOT and the Federal Highway Administration that has to be had here. A lot of design efforts, so we're going to get working on it as soon as possible. It will, between the interchanges and the river bridge here, we're projecting that bridge over this river to be a little over a mile at this point. And so a lot of work to do on there. I need to get that back up and running. It does take a lot of our resources from the first available bonding that we did, but again, it is top priority to get those two major corridors connected for east-west commuters. And as you'll notice here, everything east of here From east of I-35, I should point out too, there are quite a few intricate bridges here over the railroad. And because of that, we went ahead and restarted design efforts on the adjacent project, just to make sure that they are talking and coordinating and making sure those tie-ins are proper. So this goes just a little bit past Air Depot Road, and that is where the priority stops as of today. So you'll notice everything east of here, still in the program, and it's still in blue. This is, it's nothing new that we haven't said before. This has always been our first priority that I've listed out here today. Those alignments to the east have always been in later phases, again, of a 15-year-long plan. So as more bond funding becomes available, we have an excellent team who is going to let me know when that time is coming. And as soon as that does, we'll be able to reassess an actual schedule for the remainder of these projects. So right now, I can tell you with the bonding that we did in October and the work that I've laid out with you today, including those construction projects, we have the proper funding. We're going to manage to that and stay within those limitations for now. Once the team tells me it's time to reenter the bond market, they tell me that dollar value and the date of the closing, I'll be able to put a more definite schedule to the rest of this program. I do plan to re-engage my staff and re-engage our program manager on beginning to reassess and look at these alignments to the east. We know there's some necessary changes that may need to be made, so we'll begin looking at that later this year. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I think I went over too fast. Be happy to go back to, but I appreciate your time.
Not a question, just a comment. I remember when we first started the far east end of the Turnpike expansion, that it was stopping a few miles west of Tulsa, and Tulsa specifically asked the Turnpike Authority to change it and do all the way into Tulsa first. And Bristow willingly gave up their piece to let us do that. So I'm really happy that we're going to be able to now go back and do what we were supposed to do in the first place and satisfy the Bristow's needs.
Absolutely. We're excited about that one. Like I said, we have a lot of great partners around the entire state, but they, from the beginning 2 years ago to now, they have been excellent to work with. Again, city, county, and ODOT as well. So we're looking forward to getting that one going as well.
Any other questions? TJ, thank you.
Thank you.
We look forward to your progress. Next item is our Director's Report, Secretary Gatz.
Mr. Chairman, board members, do want to appreciate Jimmy for acknowledging the shake-cast system. That thing's always in the background operating. And when we do have an event, we'll get an email on it. It gives me a little bit of comfort, to know that it's still out there and working. And the design of that system is got a lot of intelligence to it that, it takes all of the conditional information from our bridge infrastructure. It pinpoints that seismic activity, and then it runs all the variables to see if we need to get out and inspect something. And again, it's phenomenal. To see it in action it's just another belt and suspenders for transportation, and especially with our bridge infrastructure. And it again, always comforting to know when you get that report that says everything's within the range and you don't have to go inspect, or when you do get that report that says here's a couple you need to go look at. It's just another thing that we've got in our infrastructure management repertoire that really helps us do the right thing. So, never like to see a 5.1 earthquake in Oklahoma, but it is good to know that we've got tools like that available to us when we do. So, TJ, appreciate your update on the Access Oklahoma program. And again, long-range plan, this is the way that project planning in transportation, project development, project delivery is supposed to look. I think, from what TJ told us today is we're going to restart, take a hard look at some design activities and really reaffirm our prioritization. But the real constraint is no different really than ODOT's 8-year construction work plan. It's fiscal in nature. And the variable there that we are going to have to manage to is how quickly can we advance construction projects, and then how quickly can we get back into the bond market when it makes sense for us to be able to move that ball forward. TJ and his team's doing a great job, along with our private sector partners, in putting that together and fostering the further development of that long-range plan that started out as a concept and now is turning into reality. I'm extremely excited for the first project to get going on the Turner. Ms. Weber, the comment about Bristow and their spirit of cooperation is 100% accurate. I'm particularly excited about the Bristow project, and it really gets into the reconfiguration of that interchange. You know, the interchange at Bristow right now is another one of our dysfunctional interchanges. This will give us a chance to clean not only that interchange up, but to make a difference on the tax-supported highway system with the way that ODOT is able to access the Turner, and make a difference for the community by giving them some additional circulation opportunities that really over the long term is going to be ideal. So really excited about those projects and all of the projects on the Turner. You know, whether you're talking about Chandler and getting a bridge that's been a problem for us out of the way, or Wellston. And, you know, again, the Route 66 bridge there at Wellston is going to be special. I'm really looking forward to what that project is going to look like during the centennial celebration. I think we're going to get there from a time perspective and cut a ribbon very close to the beginning of 2026 and the 100-year centennial. So a lot of exciting things happening across the network. You know, it's a representative of a major investment in Oklahoma's future and the safety of the traveling public, which is what we're here to do. And a lot of things to be excited and encouraged about out on the Turnpike network. I am impressed and pleased with the way that the team has very carefully and deliberately spent the time since the closing of our first round of bond proceeds to really take a hard look at the prioritization and how these projects are going to need to roll out, and then getting the engineering teams back to work. I think they've done an exceptional job. You know, we're going to get at these early priority projects as quickly as possible. You know, as we worked our way around that map, and TJ walked us through some of the things we're going to see happening, the thing that I'm most excited about is the interchanges. And we talk about those new access points that we're adding, which are going to enhance driver safety. You know, they're going to give us more opportunities when we do have an event that we need to get people off of the Turnpike network to be able to do that. But think about for the future generations of Oklahomans that are going to benefit from those new access points, not just in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, but all across the Turnpike network. So again, I'm really excited about what that's going to do for our future. And to bring that full circle, what made that all possible is the work that the Turnpike Authority and the team has done around cashless tolling. Without cashless tolling and that modernization, we wouldn't be able to do that. We wouldn't be able to introduce the more conventional interchanges at a cost, quite frankly, that's affordable for us to be able to add those new access points. And so again, it's all working together. It's all very well planned out and very well conceived, and everything's building on everything else. So again, I appreciate the board so much for your support for what we're accomplishing. And again, I appreciate Joe and TJ and the team for the work that they're doing to get us ready and to start advancing the project. So great report, TJ. Appreciate you. Mark and his team, you know, Mike Collins and certainly Steve and the rest of the crews at work had a rough January, you know, with some of the storms we had, very unusual weather patterns. You know, the northern tier got some pretty significant snow and blowing snow. We had some flash ice events where we had flash over freezing that created a problem not just on the Turnpike network, but across the state of Oklahoma on the tax-supported highway system. And as always, you know, Mark and the guys have managed that done an exceptional job under some hugely challenging circumstances. When you begin to have accidents out there, it causes problems in our ability even to get to the road areas and the ability to begin to clear those. To give you a little bit of a frame of reference for what that took, we expended about $1.4 million during those winter events out managing those conditions on the Turnpike network, and we worked nearly 9,000 man-hours. So again, I can't tell you how much we appreciate the work that our team does. You've got guys in equipment out there in super high-stress environment. If you're in a snowplow, if you've ever been in one, it is a very challenging, very difficult job. And again, I appreciate the work that our people do. One thing I would request is, we're not out of wintertime yet, even though temperatures have been pretty pleasant lately. I'm afraid we're going to get one of those storms here coming up in the not-too-distant future that always remind us that we can have pretty significant snow events, sometimes all the way into April. Hopefully not, but it's good to know that Mark and the team will be ready if we do. And more importantly, really got to encourage the traveling public to support us and slow down and be careful when we have these kind of weather events. The best way to keep everybody safe is to, number one, if we have bad conditions, be aware. Don't get out if you don't have to. But if you do have to, you have to slow down and provide extra care. And for absolute certain, put away your distractions. One of the things we're seeing a little bit of an unusual trend in is we've got some folks running into our snowplows. And that's not a condition that you like. Again, our drivers are out there in harm's way and doing the best that they can to keep everybody safe and keep conditions as good as we can make them. I'm not sure how you miss a snowplow. They're pretty well lit up, but again, we ask the traveling public to be mindful of our wintertime operations and give us some room to work. It's not just the potential for injury to themselves, but you're taking a piece of equipment, a snowplow. If you run into it, it takes it out of service at a time when we absolutely need it the most. So we need everybody's help during wintertime conditions to help us make a difference for them. I've got a project of note up on the Cimarron that is about to get started. We're excited to see that construction. State Highway 99 near Hallett in Pawnee County. What we're going to try to do is stay focused not only with the Access Oklahoma program, but taking care of the existing network. And this is an example of a reinvestment back into a bridge, the first of two planned rehab projects on the Cimarron this year, and we've got a couple of other projects that got underway in 2023. That'll be disruptive to traffic while it's ongoing, but hopefully we'll get in and get out of there pretty quickly. From a safety campaign standpoint, before I get into this month's message, I'd like to put some extra emphasis on motorists securing their loads and properly maintaining their vehicles. We've had a couple of examples the past month of tires coming off vehicles, two as recently as yesterday, where we had tires come off on the tax-supported highway system. But when you lose a tire on a vehicle at highway speeds, the results are catastrophic. And again, as you can see, a tremendous amount of damage. And the emphasis is, we talk about securing our loads, and we have a whole safety segment devoted to it in the springtime, but it's never too early to really pay attention to that, whether you lose a tire that's improperly secured on a trailer, or whether you actually have a maintenance issue that causes a tire to come off a vehicle. Again, those results can be catastrophic at highway speeds, and I've witnessed tires coming off of vehicles several times across the course of my career, and the force that is generated from, a vehicle traveling 60, 70 miles an hour down the highway that loses a tire is incredible. I've watched them scale barrier walls and go 50 feet in the air and then continue on their way bouncing down the highway. I've watched them take out a quarter mile of chain link fence, fortunately, because that stopped the tire. So again, these are significant events, and it just puts an exclamation point for us on, we don't necessarily have a vehicle inspection program in the state of Oklahoma, but we should take a look at our vehicles ourselves occasionally and just make sure that, we've got everything buttoned up from a maintenance standpoint. Distracted driving, again, back to the kind of the snowplow message, you got to believe that we may have had some folks out there distracted. And, we, over the course of time in 2021, we lost 3,522 lives nationally that were directly attributed to distracted driving. One life lost is too many. That's certainly a statistic that we need to improve on. When you look at the age categories that are involved in those accidents, it's 31 to 50 and under 21, but distracted driving has an impact on all of us. The most common crashes that we see here in Oklahoma, unsafe speed, driving while impaired under the influence, driving left to center, inattention and failure to stop. And, distracted driving, just like seatbelt usage, is the one thing that we can do something about. Put away those distractions, buckle up every time you get behind the wheel, and put safety first for yourself and those around you. So, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the opportunity to give the board an update. Again, thank you to the Turnpike Authority team for everything that they do every day to keep the traveling public safe and to provide good opportunities. And be happy to answer any questions the board may have of me.
Any questions?
I just have a couple comments. One, I'd like to mirror your compliments to Mark and his team for what they do. And it's, you can always tell you're on a turnpike when you get on there in bad weather. Second thing is, I'd just like to acknowledge what everybody may not see, which is that every day the members of the Turnpike Authority are not thinking about what they're going to do tomorrow, next month, next week, or next year. They're thinking about the next 10, 15, we have a 15-year plan, but we're thinking about a lot longer than that. And I think it's important for everybody to understand that they can rest easy knowing that the people of the Turnpike Authority are not just thinking about tomorrow, but they may not talk about it, they may not have specific plans, but they're thinking about what needs to happen in Oklahoma for a long time in the future.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you.
Hopefully with these new interchanges we've been talking about, you will come forward at some time, Marcus's group, with need for more transponders as we introduce more users to our system that will have access to it, which I think is nothing but good, and more plate pay conversion opportunities.
Certainly, that's, as we always talk about, and Marcus and his team do a great job with really making sure that the public is aware of that opportunity that's represented in the Pike Pass system and the network that we've got, because that is the best of all worlds for everybody. Yep. And helps us certainly keep our toll rates low and provide a very high level and safe service for the traveling public.
Just another comment on distracted driving. It really doesn't take very much. One of the deaths on the H.E. Bailey this last month was caused by a friend of mine that was talking on her phone, hands-free, but still talking on her phone, and she had 2 dogs in the car with her. And she went off the road, hit a car that on the side of the road that had its flashers on, had a maintenance problem, and killed a young 23-year-old man. So it was a tragedy for her and even more of a tragedy for that family. And so the comment is it just doesn't take very much distraction to do that. And I think that's a good comment, and it's just happening more too often on our highway system.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. That conducts our items of business and reports for today. I move that we adjourn to our next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, March 5th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please vote accordingly. We are adjourned. Thank you.